Hi everyone, it's Ed from Runnable. And today's my work from the office day, so I'm in Chelsea again. Sorry, I've got a bit of a sniffy nose, I apologise. And I'm going to do a quick run as always in Battersea Park, about 8k. And today I've got on my feet, old favourite of mine. I think you know, those that follow the channel, how much I love this shoe. Prime X Strung 2. My legs are feeling a bit achy from running 35k, I think it was in the end, in the Neo Zen yesterday, so I needed something that's going to keep me ticking, cruising along, give me a bit of energy return, same time keep my legs cushioned. So I couldn't think of a better shoe than this one. And actually, talking about Neo Zen, I did okay in that long run yesterday, but I think actually these shoes would be a better shoe for doing those long runs in, give you a little bit more energy return. Neo Zens are great in terms of being soft, the Mizuno Neo Zens, sorry, I should say. They're great in terms of being soft, but you do sink a little bit into the foam, and after about 20 miles that starts to get a little bit taxing, as you can imagine. So these would be great long run shoes. But anyway, listen to my footage of the run, and hopefully you'll pick up a few pointers of whether you should buy this shoe or not, because I think it's definitely worth a purchase if you can get it at a decent price, depending on things like how stable you need your shoe to be, where you foot strike, those kind of things. But if it all aligns, this is one of the best shoes out there on the marketplace still. Much maligned because of its weight, but trust me, Runnable Ed says ignore the critics. These guys aren't elite athletes. Why they're worrying about weight, I'm not quite so sure. These are not race shoes. You can race in them. I've done a 5k in 1750 in this shoe, so it's rapid as long as it's a straight line, but they're not race shoes, so why worry about weight? Anyway, I'm ranting, talking shit. See you later, bye bye. So here in Battersea Park again, it's my lunch break, and I'm just enjoying the nice weather today. Nice and sunny, although not that sunny in this bit of the park at the moment. The sun is not shining on me, but it is over there, over in Chelsea. So anyway, I've got on my feet Prime X Strung, and we're going to do about 8k a couple of times around the park, and then back and get something to eat. Just take it nice and easy. Nothing too ridiculous today. Did a lot of miles yesterday. I think I worked out I did around about, what was it, 35k, 36k in the end, something like that, which is a lot of miles to do in one day. It was spread over 2 runs, but even so, my legs did feel a little bit stiff this morning, have to be honest, which you would expect, but that's why I've got the Prime X Strung 2s on, because these are officially my favourite cruising shoe. So just put them in and you set and you just flow. There's no complexity to this shoe apart from what's in it, which is very complex. We could go over that a little bit actually. So the midsole has this huge wedge of Lightstrike Pro original, let's call it, the stuff that's in the Adidas Pro 3, and then it's got 2 carbon plates, can you believe it? So going back to the foam, sorry a minute, it's 50mm in the heel, so totally illegal from a racing point of view if you're an elite runner. which luckily I'm not, or unluckily, I don't know, whichever way you look at it. But it doesn't mean I can wear these in races, which is quite handy, and I have done before. But going back to the foam, so 50 millimeters, 6mm drop, so you've got a huge stack of 44 millimeters in the forefoot. That's probably the biggest of any shoe I've got under my forefoot, and it needs to be there because we've got 2 carbon plates and it's sandwiched between them in the forefoot area. You've got what I believe is the new Lightstrike Pro that's in the Adidas Pro 4, that lovely light and responsive bouncy foam. And what happens is when you land on your forefoot, compresses the 2 plates together, sandwiched between them are the foam, and you get this amazing spring compression decompression, springs you forward, and it's very much a spring forward than a spring up. I feel like it springs you forward more than the original Prime X Strung, but in a less wild way. So this shoe is far more stable than the original Prime X Strung. It's wider base, the bounce is a bit more consistent, and it's less wild. So if you think of the Prime X as a stallion, this is still a stallion, but this is an older stallion who is too old to give you any shit and throw you, just wants an easy life. So that's why a lot of people didn't like this shoe. They felt it was a muted version of the Prime X. I don't think they really understood what actually Adidas had done is make the Prime X suitable for a wider range of runners in the Prime X2. So, and they also, I guess, wanted to play around with technology and the new foam. They wanted to see what the 2 jaw plates would do and that foam in between them, and they ended up with what I believe is one of the best cruising shoes on the market. It takes very little effort once you've picked up a pace to maintain that pace in this shoe. So in the same way as the Alpha Fly, once you get going in that shoe, you can just set and cruise. You get a similar sort of thing here. It's a bit heavier than the Alpha Fly though, which is why a lot of people who are obsessed with weight don't like it. It's too heavy. It's because they're thinking of it as a racing shoe. I think it's not a racing shoe. It's literally, I believe, a kind of long distance cruising shoe that if you were to run a marathon or an ultra, you could use this shoe. I know quite a lot of people have used this shoe for ultra marathons, and I can understand why. Well, you don't necessarily need to be going that quick, you just need a shoe that's just going to keep you bouncing forward, and that's what this shoe does really well. And it's a really underrated shoe actually. You can still get it, there's no Prime X3, you can still get really good deals on it. I've seen it as low as 125, 150 quid, which for all this technology and shoe, you're getting an amazing bargain there. It's a unique ride. So those of you who like fun, bouncy, responsive shoes, this is still all of those things, just not as wild as the original. Like if you compare it to say a Super Blast, it's far more kind of responsive and far more bouncy than the Super Blast. More unstable, yes, but actually much more fun ride. particularly if you're like me, who loves the Super Blast but struggles sometimes compressing the foam because it's so firm. This one, initially it starts off as firm, and once it breaks in, once you've done quite a few miles, like 30 miles in it, it feels absolutely fantastic, even for lighter runners like me. And yeah, I get a lot out of this shoe. Very much as a shoe that you get out what you put in though. So if you're just ambling along, it's probably not the best for going slow, just because it's built for you to put some force through it. But I'm not going particularly quick now, just over 5 km pace, and it's fine. But when you really put the foot down, like now, I'm not going to catch those guys. Oh, look at that! How cool! I like the look of those. I'm not catching them though. Once you put the speed up a bit, you feel the plates compressing, foaming between decompressing, and you get this real nice propulsion forward that's doing a lot of the work for you. So I ran a sub 18 5k in this shoe, my local park run, so I know you can use it at real speeds and get some real performance out of it. Because of the size and weight of the shoe, it's not good for times when you need to go up hills, particularly good anyway. It's fine going down them. Going up, you're going to feel the weight a little bit, but you will have some bounce to help you out. It's not the worst shoe. And then obviously, because of the 50mm stack, cornering tight corners can be an issue in this shoe. But unlike the Prime X original, I've never yet had a problem with my ankles in this shoe. So much more stable than that shoe, that I feel like I can use this not off-road, but I can use it on uneven pavements and that kind of thing, cambered roads. Whereas with the Prime X, it was a bit blurry. I'm going to topple over onto my ankle. So yeah, for those looking for a fun but stable issue, this is definitely a candidate. I mean, until you try it, it's hard for me to describe what a nice feeling this shoe is. But just like with the Super Blast, you really do need to break it in and break down that Lightstrike Pro foam, the original Lightstrike foam. Break it down and it feels great after you've done that. And so for me, this kind of, like a good wine, gets better with age, this shoe. So it's now, this one's on probably about 200 miles, and it feels better than it did out of the box. And it's no different than it felt after about 30 miles when it's broken in. So it's a very durable shoe as well. Quite a lot of similarities actually with the Super Blast in terms of durability, in terms of using them for long runs where you're going up tempo. Tank of a shoe, just like the Super Blast. The main difference is this is more bouncy, more propulsive, throws you forward more, slightly less stable, and the Super Blast is a lot more stable, a lot less wild, a lot more, you know what you're going to get with it, and a lot lighter. Super Blast is punching in around about the 240, 250 gram mark. This is going on for 80, 90 grams heavier, and you know, that's obviously quite a big difference for those that are worried about weight in their shoes. For me, I'm not so bothered. I would say one thing, a again, comparing it with Super Blast, I think the upper in the Super Blast is better. I think it's just a bit nicer feel. I think when the Strung upper came out, it was a good piece of innovation, but I think it's been proved to be fundamentally flawed unless you can get your sizing exactly right, because it doesn't sometimes cause rub on your toes, particularly the longer you go. So that's something to bear in mind as well. If you've got wide feet, this could be causing you some issues with your toes because of how rough the Strung material is. But it's the tightly woven material that keeps your foot in place. So you know, you could argue that without that, this would be a bit more unstable. So pros and cons for that technology. I just don't find it the nicest bit of upper that I've ever used, and also it's going to add to the weight. It's not the lightest upper either. So that's kind of a summary of the shoe and what you would use it for. I suggest those who are looking for a long run shoe that don't mind the weight, that land around the sort of mid-foot, forefoot area. If you can pick up the shoe at 159, which it frequently is at, it's a bargain, and I would highly recommend you trying it. Just expect initially you're going to have to break it in, and then you're going to get a wild ride, but nothing too crazy like the original, and one that you can take on long runs, and it's going to really help do the mileage and also cushion your legs so the next day you don't feel bad at all. And that's all I want to say. I'm going to do my extra lap now. Hopefully that's been useful. See you later. Bye bye.